So I've had the Sony a7 IV since almost the day it came out. I've used it excessively, and in today's video, my friend, I want to share with you guys why, despite its age, this camera is still all I personally need for my photography in 2025. Plus, I'll do you one better and not only share with you guys the things that I like about this camera, but the things that I kind of, dislike, as well as the lenses that I plan to use and the accessories that I think are kind of must-have, for me at least, when I'm using this camera. So if you've never met me before, then my name is Arnoldur. I know that name is a little bit brutal. I'm from Iceland and I've been doing photography for almost a decade, done it professionally for years, and I've been reviewing cameras for many years professionally as well, and specifically Sony cameras. And the Sony a7 IV has been like my trusted companion for a very long time. I mean, I've used it for absolutely anything you can think about, except, maybe filming some naughty stuff, but this, or have I? But some of my all-time best photos to date are captured on this camera, as well as kind of more or less all the videos for the last kind of since it came out are filmed with it. I use it for both photos and videos. It's a great hybrid camera, but on the video side of things, I think it's slowly starting to fall a little bit short. There's like no question about it that there are better cameras out there if you focus on video specifically. But for photos, I still think it holds up pretty great, and I'm gonna tell you why and why I don't plan to like switch anytime soon, at least. Although I'm of course tempted. I mean, I too have eyes and brains and saw the Sony a7 II. I mean, oh my god. Anyway, the good old Sony a7 IV is equipped with a 33 megapixel full frame sensor. It can film 4K footage up to 60 frames per second. Keep in mind that the 60 frames per second, it is cropped, so it's in like Super 35 mode. And if you want to get 120 frames per second, you can do it in full HD. Now with the photography aspect, when it comes with the 33 megapixels on this camera, then personally, I've always found that 33 megapixel is a very nice sweet spot. It's not the, 24 megapixels or 26 or something along those lines. And I mean, it's not also the 40 to 60 megapixel, which is super nice, which like the Sony R like Mark 5 or 6 has. However, 33, it sits there in the middle. I mean, all the prints you see here behind me, all shot on this camera, and it's more than enough to print at least decently sized photos. So I really much enjoy it. For social media, if that is what you do, man, you can easily just use one of these camera. This is Sony a6400 or whatnot. I mean, I honestly don't think people see any difference on social media, whether you're like using a camera like this, an entry-level APS-C camera, or the A1 Mark II, which costs like a fortune, But personally, one of my favorite things about the A7 Mark IV has always been the hybrid capabilities. I'm a photographer, but I do make my living mostly creating YouTube videos. And I don't want to carry a ton of camera. I know I have a lot here and in the studio. I'm filming this on the ZV-E1, but when I'm out about, especially I'm mostly in landscapes. I live in the northern Sweden. And I mean, I don't want to carry a ton of gear with me. So being able to quickly switch between photo and video and S&Q is fantastic. And this camera allows for that. And that is something that I like. Plus it has 3 RAM memory recall, which you can then set for both photo, video and S&Q. So it's effectively in 9 different settings. So if I want to film, in 120 frames per second full HD or 60 frames per second, I can just switch between that very quickly. Or if I want to shoot a photo, have one set to RAW, aperture priority, and one is in the manual mode, and then one is just JPEGs when I'm photographing my family and friends, So that I can just like bam, switch here, and I get it. Very much appreciated. And there is nothing when it comes to the quality of the photos that I can like say that is bad. If we go into the video aspects, as I told you before, then I do think it's starting to like decline a little bit, and there are better options on the market. I mean, it has a quite heavy rolling shutter. Some people don't mind. I don't really mind that much, but sometimes I'm like, man, everything is just so wobbly. And there are a few other things that I'm not going to dive into in this video here. Now, when it comes to the ergonomics of the camera, I enjoy it quite a lot. It is like, feels good in the hand. It is quite boxy, and I know that people that are used to Canon cameras, which are all smooth and nice, might and this is a gesture when it's smooth and nice. I let you fill in the blanks there, but I've heard that they think this is a little bit boxy and not as comfortable. And I know the A1 Mark II, that is more streamlined and is a little bit more comfortable in the hand. I don't really mind, maybe because I'm not a big crybaby, but I think it's like totally fine. I'm totally okay with it, holding it here, and it feels pretty nice and heavy in the hand. Now this camera is equipped with 2 SD card slots. So if you are doing professional work and you're worried about your SD card failing on you, then you have 2 here. Could be like an ease of mind if that is for you. And you can also use a CF Express card. I don't think that is that needed. I mean, I think it can photograph 10 frames per second, which, I mean, compared to like the A9 Mark III, which can film photograph 120 frames per second, and it's like, it's not that fast, but it's still totally fast enough for most of you guys, or like 99%, unless you're like an elite sports or wildlife photographer. Now, the autofocus is fantastic. It is not the newest autofocus from Sony, which is like unlocking some sort of god mode, but it's like good enough. And what can I say? It cannot recognize animals, I think, if I remember correctly, which is totally fine by me. But maybe if you like are doing wildlife photography and you want these newest Sony features, then you might want to look at some different cameras. But for me personally, it has everything that I need for my type of photography. And I do personally believe that for the next at least 10, 15 years, this is going to be good enough. Will I upgrade someday? Yeah, 100%. I mean, I would like to have a specifically photo-related camera in my kit. I don't have any Sony R lineup. Just when I'm out, I know that I'm going to an epic place and I want to create like a perfect print or whatever. But for like my photography going forward, this is still going to be what's going to be in my backpack. Now, one thing I just want to quickly add here too is that it's incredibly easy to get caught up in the, let's just call it, deception of thinking that you just need the newest, latest, greatest gear and you constantly have to upgrade. What used to be a good camera is still a good camera today. And when it comes to the Sony a6400, A6400, the Sony names, they drive me crazy, but the Sony a7 IV, then it's definitely like more than enough. And personally, when we're talking about the photography aspects, what it can do, then it's still like pretty crazy camera. And it's going to be more than enough for a long time moving forward. At least that's my opinion. I don't know. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. But what then about the lenses? I mean, what lenses is it that I'm going to be stacking there? Now, for the starters, if you've been following me for some time, then you know I'm a huge fan of zoom lenses. I do own like a few prime lenses in my kit, but zoom lenses is nice for me because I'm a lot in run and gun environment, and I'm ready to sacrifice quality and the amount of like aperture going down for convenience of not having to carry multiple lenses with me at all times. And my go-to stable lens is, like most of us, the 24-70 f2.8. On the camera right now, we have the Sony G-Master Mark II. This is a fantastic lens. I really, really much like it. I do own the older version of the Sigma 24-70mm. It's a bit heavier. Maybe you could pixel peep between these, but just showing me two pictures, I can't really see a massive difference. Like, honestly, I think people are too nerdy when it comes to like the comparisons, but probably sure if you pixel peep, you might see something. I think both lenses are fantastic. This is a little bit lighter, so that's why it sits on my camera at the moment. Plus, like, it's pretty bossy having the, G-Master lenses. I'm currently also looking for a super wide angle lens. My favorite go-to talking headshot lens is that this sits on my camera right now. This is the 20mm from Sony, 1.8, fantastic lens. I keep it with me from time to time, especially when I want to get like wide angle looks. But I am on the lookout for either the Sony 16-35mm Mark II. I do own the Sigma 16-28mm 2.8. It's all right. It's not like the worst lens. I dropped it once, so I cannot put any filters on it anymore. And I've always felt like the 28 is a little awkward focal length. I would like it to be a little bit more versatile to punch into 35. And the cool thing is that you can, especially when you use this camera, you can like do this clear image zoom on the ZV-E1, and then you can effectively have also 50mm look as well. But this is in my kit, but I've also been eyeing, what is it, like the Sigma 14-24? I can't remember exactly, but that one looks really, really cool. So if you have any suggestions for me about any of these lenses that I talked about, let me know in the comments down below. And then, my friends, one lens that I honestly can't live without, but I don't use it that often, is this one here. Give me 1 second. You ready? This one, the Sony 70-200mm f2.8 Mark II. This is like absolute beauty. And it took me quite a lot of self-persuasion to say that. I had to persuade my mind to be like, this is a good buy, this is a good buy, this is a good buy. It makes sense, it makes sense. It's not expensive, it's not expensive, it's not expensive at all. Until I bought it. I don't use it as much as I would like. It's a little bit bulky and heavy, and I value more lightweight. But for what it is, for the size, the Mark II, it's quite light. I know the Sigma version is like 30% heavier, and the previous version of this is 30% heavier. But this one, I mean, everything becomes super, super good. You just put it on and your photos will just go to the next level, kind of. On top of that, the truth is that when you pull up with a white lens, people will take you very seriously, and they will go like, okay, Mr. Photographer, here's my money. What can you do for me? So that is not bad. If you want to be taken seriously, buy yourself a white lens. Silly, I know. But just is how it is, you know? By the way, if you want to level up your photography, learn how to build your social medias as a photographer, and just learn how to make a living doing what you love, then I want to invite you to sign up to my free newsletter. I send out like 1 email a week. It only takes like 2 or 3 minutes to read. Real quick and solid tips. Something that I wish that I knew, and I'm just writing from my past self, really. And by signing up, you also get like my black and white preset pack for free as a thank you for like signing up. It's totally free and you can cancel whenever you want. Anyway, down in the description you can find the link, and back to the regular video. On top of that, a thing that I'm gonna keep carrying with me in my backpack is a filter, and that's a black mist filter. I really like it. I have it on right now. Makes everything a little bit bloomy. If you're out in the nighttime in the streets, I mean, everything just turns super magical. It takes up next to no space, put on the camera and the lens. And the biggest tip I can give you if you're new, that buy a bigger filter and with step down rings, so you can use them on their smaller lenses. Totally, that's a good little tip, you know. And then another thing that I like kind of cannot live without is this, you know, Peak Design clip that you put on your backpack here, and you just clip on your camera on and off. Because I'm so much outside in a running environment, and it's just such a hassle taking the camera out all the time, and it looks like this, you see. And I mean, this motion, it takes a little time, and you even have to take off your backpack a little bit, and before you know it, the moment is happening. Because in a type of photography, especially in the street, the moment happens like this, and you just have to be ready to shoot them. And that's why I really like to have it here. Plus, I don't have to take it on and off and all that. So that little clip, fantastic. Anyway, within the Sony camera ecosystem, there are multiple cameras to choose from, and I understand it can be quite overwhelming figuring out which one you should pick. So if you're wondering what is the best first Sony camera to buy in 2025, then my friend, next you should watch this video right here, and I think that my pick will surprise you.